The sun had already slipped behind the trees, lining the edge of the massive roadside diner, leaving the parking lot bathed in a soft amber glow. Cars and motorcycles were scattered across the wide asphalt, engines cooling, metal ticking. The low rumble of conversations from inside spilled out every time the door swung open. It was nearing dusk, the hour when families grabbed dinner and bikers regrouped from long rides. At the far end of the lot, Mr. Harold Bennett, 73 years old, soft-spoken and known by most locals simply as Mr. B, slowly made his way toward his car. He carried a reusable grocery bag filled with small woodworking tools he had picked up from a nearby hardware store. Retirement had given him time to return to the hobby he loved, carving. His hands, though aged, were steady. His spirit, though weathered by a lifetime of challenges, was strong, but he walked with a slight limp these days. Not because of age, but because of a knee he injured decades ago, while helping rescue 2 children from a burning building. A story he never bragged about, but others never forgot. Mr. B wasn't just respected, he was loved. A group of bikers had gathered near their motorcycles, leather vests stitched with red and gold emblems. Engines revved occasionally as they talked loudly, laughing, teasing one another. Most were harmless, but at the center of the group stood someone who wasn't. His name was Bruiser. Nobody knew if that was his real name or a nickname, but it fit him well. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with a shaved head and tattoos that crawled up his neck like angry vines. He had a reputation, not for bravery, but for picking fights with people who couldn't or wouldn't fight back. Mr. B didn't notice the group at first. He only realized he had walked near them when Bruiser's beer bottle clinked on the ground near his feet. "Watch where you're going, old man," Bruiser barked. Mr. B stopped, steadying his grocery bag. His voice remained gentle. "Sorry, son, didn't see that bottle." Bruiser stepped closer. "What did you call me?" "Son," Mr. B said simply, offering a calm smile. "It's just how I speak." One of the bikers chuckled nervously. "Bruiser, leave him alone, man. He's just—" "Shut up," Bruiser snapped. The air grew tense. Mr. B could feel the shift, but he kept his posture relaxed. "No trouble from me," he said, nodding and trying to walk past. But Bruiser wasn't done. "Old men like you walk around here like you own the place," he sneered, "thinking everyone owes you something." "I don't think that at all," Mr. B said. "Yeah? Then why didn't you apologize properly?" "I did." Bruiser's eyes narrowed, and before anyone could react, his hand shot forward. Smack! The slap echoed across the parking lot, sharp and shocking. Mr. B stumbled, one hand catching the side of his car as the grocery bag hit the ground, tools clattering on the pavement. A collective gasp rose from nearby onlookers. A couple standing by the restaurant door froze. A young boy tugged at his mother's sleeve. Even the bikers themselves looked stunned. Bruiser had crossed a line none of them were willing to defend. But Bruiser grinned, proud of himself. "That's what you get for disrespecting me." Mr. B didn't shout, he didn't cry, he didn't curse, he simply straightened his back, rubbing the side of his face, and said in a quiet voice that carried farther than Bruiser expected, "You shouldn't have done that." Bruiser laughed. "Or what? What are you going to do, call someone?" Mr. B looked at him for a long moment. His eyes, calm, steady, deeply disappointed, made Bruiser shift uncomfortably for the first time. "No," Mr. B said softly, "I don't need to call anyone." And then, as if on cue, a deep rumble began in the distance. At first it sounded like thunder. Then it grew louder, and louder, and louder. Heads turned. People stepped out of the diner, confused. Even Bruiser paused, frowning. The sound multiplied until it felt like the asphalt itself was trembling. The vibrations rolled through the parking lot like an approaching storm. One of the bikers squinted at the road. Guys? Dozens, no, scores, of headlights appeared all at once at the end of the street. Rows of motorcycles, steel, chrome, roaring engines, tires humming like a hurricane, a wall of riders in black helmets and matching jackets. Then someone recognized the emblem on their vests, a silver eagle with lightning through its wings. "The Thunder Vets," someone whispered. "Is that them?" Bruiser swallowed hard. "Yes," another biker said, "and they don't ride out unless something serious happened." Mr. B didn't move. He just waited, patient and calm, as the motorcycles poured into the parking lot like a tidal wave. Because, unknown to Bruiser, unknown to almost everyone, Mr. B wasn't just any elderly man. He was the founding captain of the Thunder Vets Motorcycle Brotherhood, and every rider rolling in had received the same emergency alert. Mr. Bennett in trouble. All units move. The ground shook, the engines roared, and Bruiser took a step back. The next 9 minutes were about to change everything. The roar was deafening now, so loud that every conversation in the diner died mid-sentence. Forks hovered in the air, heads turned toward the windows. Even the cooks stepped out from behind the counter to see what was happening outside. The first row of motorcycles pulled into the parking lot with heavy, synchronized precision. Their engines throbbed like the heartbeat of a giant beast. Behind them came another row, then another, and another, until the entire lot seemed swallowed by chrome, leather, and discipline. The bikers parked in clean lines, not chaotic, not reckless. Organized, too organized for an ordinary club. That's what made people nervous. These weren't just riders. They were veterans, combat-tested, battle-disciplined, bound by loyalty stronger than blood. And at the center of their formation rode a man everyone in 3 counties knew by reputation if not by sight. Commander Duke Harrison, former Marine Master Sergeant, decorated war hero, and current president of the Thunder Vets Brotherhood. His presence alone made onlookers straighten their posture. He dismounted with controlled force, boots hitting the pavement like hammer drops. His grey beard contrasted with the jet-black vest he wore, the silver eagle patch reflecting the fading sunlight. He didn't need to raise his voice. When he spoke, the others listened. "Where is he?" Duke said. One of the younger riders pointed silently toward Mr. Bennett, who stood beside his car with a hand still on his cheek. The Thunder Vets parted like a sea, creating a wide path straight to him. Duke walked forward with long, deliberate strides. "Captain Bennett," Duke said, coming to a stop. Mr. B offered him a warm, almost amused smile. "Evening, son. You sent the distress signal?" "Wasn't me," Mr. B chuckled. "My emergency beacon triggers automatically if I get knocked down or hit unexpectedly. Doctor insisted when I turned 70. There was a ripple of low anger through the group. A few of the younger riders clenched their fists. Duke's jaw tightened. "Who touched you?" Mr. B tilted his head gently toward Bruiser, who stood frozen, pale, and visibly shaking. Duke didn't even glance at him yet. Instead, he leaned closer to Mr. B. "Are you hurt?" "Just my pride," Mr. B said softly. "And maybe my groceries." One of the Thunder Vets immediately gathered the fallen tools, placing them carefully back in the bag, hands trembling with quiet respect. Duke exhaled slowly, controlled but dangerous. "Captain, with your permission." He didn't finish the sentence, but the meaning was clear. Say the word, and this man will regret being born. Mr. B rested a hand on Duke's arm. "No violence," he said. "Not today." The words calmed Duke, but only slightly. He turned then, slowly, deliberately, like a man giving fate one last chance to behave itself. Bruiser's stomach dropped. He had been in fights before, had won most of them. But this wasn't a bar scuffle. This wasn't him towering over someone smaller. This was a trained soldier, looking at him as if he were an ant, deciding whether to survive the next few seconds. "You," Duke said, voice steady. "Step forward." Bruiser tried to speak, but only a croak left his throat. "Step forward." His own bikers stepped away from him, forming distance, as if afraid to be associated with him. One even whispered, "You're on your own, man." Shaking, Bruiser walked forward. Duke stopped only a foot away from him. "You slapped a 73-year-old man." Bruiser swallowed. He bumped into us. "Shut your mouth." Bruiser shut it. Duke leaned closer, eyes locked on him with military precision. "That man you slapped is a retired army captain, a man who saved lives, more lives than you have probably ever respected, a man who founded this brotherhood, a man who earned every wrinkle on his face." Bruiser's eyes widened. I didn't know." "No," Duke said. "You didn't care." Silence slammed over the parking lot. Duke continued, voice low and lethal. "And if Captain Bennett had given permission, I would have buried you right here in this asphalt." Bruiser gasped, stumbling backward, hands shaking uncontrollably. "But he didn't," Duke said. "Which means you're lucky." He pointed at Bruiser's motorcycle. "Get your bike." Bruiser hesitated. "Why?" "Because you're about to leave, and you're not coming back. Ever." Bruiser hurried to grab his motorcycle, hands trembling so badly he almost dropped his keys. His own biker group, ashamed and furious, refused to look at him. But Duke wasn't finished. "Leave your vest." Bruiser froze. "What? Leave your vest?" In biker culture, removing someone's vest was the ultimate humiliation. It meant banishment, exile, stripping someone of identity. Slowly, Bruiser took off the leather vest, laying it on the ground like a defeated trophy. "Now ride," Duke said. Bruiser's engine coughed, then roared. He sped out of the parking lot so fast he nearly slipped on gravel. As the sound faded, every Thunder vet turned back toward Mr. Bennett. Duke approached once more. "Captain, what now?" Mr. B thought for a long moment before speaking. "We clean up," he said. "Then we eat. No point wasting a good evening." The tension dissolved instantly. Riders laughed softly, relieved. But inside, they all carried the same thought. If Bruiser had done anything worse, if Mr. B had been hurt more seriously, the parking lot wouldn't just have shaken, it would have exploded. As the Thunder vets settled into the parking lot, the mood shifted from boiling tension to something solemn and deeply respectful. Engines powered down one after another, each rumble fading like a heartbeat slowing after a sprint. People in the diner pressed their faces against the windows. Some stepped outside, cautiously curious but no longer afraid. The storm had passed, but its thunder still echoed. Mr. Bennett, still rubbing his cheek where Bruiser had struck him, walked toward a wooden bench just outside the diner. Duke and two senior riders, Reyes and Holloway, followed him closely, making sure he didn't need assistance. But Mr. B waved them off with a gentle chuckle. "I'm old," he said, "not fragile." Reyes, a broad Latino veteran with a face chiseled by battle and time, crossed his arms. "Sir, after what happened, we're not taking chances. We respond to you like we respond to a Mayday call." Mr. B knew that. He also knew that any one of these men and women would stand in front of a bullet for him without hesitation. He took a slow breath and looked around at the sea of motorcycles, remembering where it all began. "Do you boys know why the Thunder vets exist?" Mr. B asked suddenly, his eyes softening as memory washed over him. Duke and the others exchanged glances. Holloway answered quietly, "Because you started it after the war, to help veterans who were struggling to adjust." "That's part of it," Mr. B said, "but not the whole story." A small crowd of curious onlookers gathered at a respectful distance. Even the diners who didn't know who he was could feel the weight of the moment. Mr. B leaned back against the bench as the last rays of sunlight drew a faint glow around him. "I formed this brotherhood," he said, "after I lost my closest friend, Marvin Rhodes." The riders listened silently. "He was a good man, strong, brave, fought beside me in 2 tours, but when he came home, people called him things, treated him like trash, like a threat, simply because he was a black man carrying scars they couldn't understand." Holloway bowed his head. Reyes clenched his jaw. Duke's fists tightened at his sides. "Marvin didn't die overseas," Mr. B continued. "He died here, alone, because he had no one to talk to, no one who understood." The words hung heavy in the cooling air. "So I made a promise to him," Mr. B said softly. "I promised I'd build something, a family, a place where every veteran, no matter their color, no matter their past, could belong. A brotherhood where loyalty was earned by heart, not by hate." Duke stepped closer. "And you did that, Captain." Mr. B smiled, faint but proud. "We did it, all of us." A young boy, about 13, approached hesitantly. His mother watched anxiously from a few steps behind. "Mister," the boy said quietly, Are you the man the bad biker hit?" Mr. B turned to him with a patient look. "Yes, son, but it's all right." The boy shook his head fiercely. "No, it's not. My grandpa's your age. If someone hit him, I'd be real mad." Reyes chuckled. Duke's stern face softened. "What's your name?" Mr. B asked. "Jordan." Mr. B motioned for him to come closer. "Jordan, sometimes people lash out because they're angry at themselves, sometimes because they don't know better, but whether you're young or old, kindness will always be stronger than cruelty." Jordan nodded slowly, absorbing every word. Then he asked, "Is that why all these bikers came? Because they're your friends?" Mr. B smiled. "Not just friends, family." Duke stepped forward, resting a strong hand on the boy's shoulder. "Jordan, you see all these bikes?" "Yeah," the boy whispered, eyes wide. "Every one of them belongs to a man or woman who served their country. We fought side by side, bled side by side, and to this day, we protect each other side by side." Jordan looked back at the wall of riders, awe filling his expression. "So they came because they love him?" "More than that," Duke said. "We owe him." At that moment, the diner manager, a kind-faced older woman, walked out holding a tray of drinks and warm rolls. Her voice trembled slightly as she addressed the group. "Mr. Bennett, your meal's on the house tonight." He blinked, surprised. "Oh no, Mum, that's very generous, but no arguments," she said firmly. "You've done more for this community than most people ever will. Let us return at least a little of that kindness." Soft applause rippled through the watching crowd. For a moment, Mr. B felt the sting on his cheek again, but this time it wasn't pain, it was emotion, gratitude, humbling warmth. Duke pulled up a chair beside him. "Captain, we're staying tonight. No one's leaving until you're fully checked, fed, and escorted home." Mr. B laughed. "Son, I came here for a slice of pie, not a security detail." "Pie can wait," Duke said. "Your safety can't." Mr. B looked at the sea of faces, every rider standing watch, every civilian silently thanking him, every friend ready to act at a moment's notice. And he realized something. The slap Bruiser gave him didn't break anything. It only reminded the world who Mr. Bennett really was. A leader, a protector, a man whose legacy still lived in every roaring engine around him. The night deepened, and the parking lot lights flickered on, casting long shadows across the rows of motorcycles. The air settled into a peaceful hum, but beneath that calm was a kind of electricity, an unspoken unity that everyone present could feel. The storm had passed, but its echo remained, vibrating quietly through every soul who had witnessed what happened. Inside the diner, the staff quickly arranged tables together to accommodate the Thunder Vets. No one complained, no one hesitated. They understood the honor of serving men and women like this. Mr. Bennett was settled into a booth with Duke, Reyes, Holloway, and a few others, while the rest spread through the diner in orderly rows. People who had never spoken to a veteran in their lives suddenly found themselves offering handshakes, paying for meals, and saying thank you with an honesty deeper than politeness. But the moment everyone talked about for years afterward was still minutes away. After dinner, as Mr. B rose from his booth, Duke gently placed a hand on his elbow. "You sure you're feeling all right, Captain?" Mr. B smiled. "Stop treating me like I'm made of glass, I'm fine." Holloway nodded. "Still, we'll escort you home." Mr. B rolled his eyes playfully. "I could drive myself across the country with one hand and a blindfold." Reyes grinned. "We know, but we still gotta do it." Duke added quietly, "You're our foundation, Captain. When someone tries to break the foundation, the whole house shows up." Mr. B's throat tightened. These men, these brothers, they meant more to him than he could express. As they stepped back into the parking lot, the riders mounted their bikes with synchronized precision. The engines rumbled to life, one after another, until the ground vibrated beneath their boots. Mr. B's classic black Road King motorcycle, kept polished like a priceless treasure, stood waiting near the front. They had already checked it for him, filled the gas, and inspected the tires. Duke approached him. "Captain, you're leading the convoy tonight." Mr. B raised an eyebrow. "It's been a while since I rode point." Reyes smiled softly. "But no one deserves it more." The crowd gathered again at the edge of the lot, whispering, watching. Some held up their phones, but most simply stood in reverent silence. Then came the moment. As Mr. Bennett swung his leg over the bike and settled into the seat, Duke raised his hand. A simple signal, but heavy with meaning. Every Thunder Vet roared their engines in perfect unison. The ground trembled, windows shook, the air itself seemed to pulse, people gasped, some stepped backward, some stepped closer. But everyone felt it, a vibration of respect, a statement without words, a shake that echoed through the entire parking lot. Bruiser, miles away now, riding alone in the dark, would later tell people that he felt that rumble even where he was, a haunting reminder of a mistake he wished he could erase. The town would talk about that sound for weeks. It felt like the earth bowed, they'd say. It felt like thunder saluting a man, and they weren't wrong. The convoy formed behind Mr. B in two massive lines stretching across the lot. Duke pulled alongside him. "You ready, Captain?" Mr. B looked ahead at the open road, at the headlights stretching like a glowing ribbon behind him. "For the first time today," he said, "I feel exactly like myself." "Then lead us home," Duke replied. Mr. Bennett revved his engine, a sharp, clean roar, and the others followed instantly. As he pulled out of the lot, hundreds watched in awe as the Thunder Vets rolled forward like a moving mountain of chrome and pride. Children waved. Parents held their hearts. Old veterans saluted with trembling hands, and Mr. Bennet, with the wind touching his cheek where he had been slapped just an hour before, felt not pain, not anger, but overwhelming gratitude. He whispered into the wind, "For you, Marvin. For all of us." The convoy disappeared into the night, a river of steel protecting its captain. Later that night, Duke, riding beside him, said quietly, "You know, when that fool hit you, I thought the worst. I thought we were about to tear that place apart." Mr. B chuckled. "I know. But you didn't want revenge," Duke said. "Why?" Mr. B thought deeply before answering. "Because, Duke, strength is not how hard you hit, it's how wisely you rise." Duke nodded. "And you rose today, Captain?" Mr. B looked at the stars above. "No, we rose, and with that the Thunder Vets continued their journey, their engines singing like a choir of metal and memory. The slap that Bruiser gave him? Forgotten. But the unity that followed would be remembered forever, because that night the parking lot didn't just shake, the community did. They witnessed what loyalty looks like, what respect feels like, what a brotherhood truly is, and they knew. Mr. Bennet wasn't just an elderly black man. He was a leader, a legacy, a storm carried on the shoulders of giants.